My brother totaled my car, the one I had just finished paying off. Dad said, boys will be boys. Just take the bus. So I said, sure, and started taking the bus to work. 2 months later, Dad called and asked, why haven't you paid your mom's medical bills? I replied, I can't afford it. A bus pass is $90 a month. It adds up. He started yelling, you make 6 figures. I said, prove it. Then I sent him a screenshot of. My brother called me at 4:37 p.m. on a Thursday. I know the exact time because it's still in my call log, sitting right under the photos of my car before and after. Hey, he said, don't freak out. Those 3 words are the family alarm bell. Don't freak out always means the opposite. I was in the hospital break room, still wearing my polo with the company logo and my badge clipped to my belt. Medical device rep, 6 meetings that day, feet aching. My 6-year-old daughter, Ellie, was at aftercare waiting for me to pick her up. What happened, Nate? I asked. Long pause. So, funny story. I'm fine. Totally fine. But your car is kinda not fine. My mouth went dry. What do you mean, not fine? Like, totaled, he said. But dude, it wasn't my fault. This guy. I'm on my way. I cut in. Where are you? Mom and Dad's. The tow truck just left. Dad's here. It looks worse than it is. That's what people say about relationships, not crushed metal. By the time I reached my parents' house, it was getting dark. Ellie's head rested heavy on my shoulder. I had picked her up from aftercare on the way. The car sat in the driveway like a crime scene. The front was smashed in, the windshield cracked like a spider web, airbag dust still floating inside. A piece of my headlight was halfway up the lawn. Ellie pressed closer to me, her stuffed unicorn squished between us. Daddy, she whispered, is your car sick? Yeah, I said, my voice strangely calm. It's really sick. The porch light came on. Dad stepped outside in his old Ohio State hoodie like it was any normal Thursday. There he is, he said. Don't freak out. I stared at the car. You let it drive it? I asked. Dad narrowed his eyes like I'd said something disrespectful. He had an appointment. He needed something dependable. Nate followed him out, moving too fast and waving his hands. Man, I'm really sorry. Some guy ran a red light. I couldn't avoid it. The airbags went off. It was like a movie. But I'm okay, I swear I'll. Where's the police report? I asked once we were inside. Nate said, Dad's got it. Insurance will take care of everything. Ellie stood between us, gripping my collar. I could feel her watching my face the way kids watch the sky for storms. I swallowed. That car was paid off last week. I know, Nate said quickly. Congrats, by the way. I looked at Dad. The title's in my name. The loan was in my name. The insurance is on my policy. Dad cut in like he was fixing a presentation slide. Which is why you got such a good rate, Dylan. You're welcome. I blinked. So the payout will go through me, he said. Obviously. Relax. We'll figure it out. No need to turn this into a big deal. My hands felt cold, even though I could see my breath. Ellie whispered, Daddy, are we going home soon? Bug, I said quietly. I looked back at my car, the one I'd been paying for since I was 26. The last payment went through on Monday. I'd even sent a screenshot of the paid in full message to my group chat. Little confetti animation and everything. Where are my keys? I asked. Dad huffed. You don't need keys for that, he said, nodding toward the wreck. The tow company took it. My chest tightened. Okay, I said slowly. So what's the plan? Dad spread his hands like he was being reasonable. The plan is we calm down, we let insurance do its job, and in the meantime, you take the bus. It's not that serious. The bus, I repeated. You're always talking about public transit being good for the environment, he said. There you go. Boys will be boys. Accidents happen. You're still working. The hospital's on the line anyway for your little gadget job. You'll help with your mom's bills like we discussed. Just take the bus. Ellie pressed her head into my neck. I could feel her breathing too fast. I didn't yell. I shifted her higher on my hip, looked at the wreck of my first real grown-up thing, and said very calmly, sure. I'm Dylan. I'm 32. I sell medical equipment in Columbus, Ohio. If you've ever seen a guy in a too warm blazer pulling a suitcase through a hospital and saying things like capital budget and demo unit, that's me. On paper, I make decent money. Base salarié plus commission. In group chats, it gets rounded up to six figures because people hear the word sales and stop caring about the details. In my family, six figures turn into a bottomless ATM. Family helps family. My mom always says it softly, like it's a hug. Dad says, we're a team. Nate says, you're the responsible one. Nobody says, we keep track. The first time I paid one of Mom's medical bills, Ellie was 2 and Nate had just lost his 3rd job in a row. Mom had a scare, chest pain, ambulance, overnight in the cardiac unit. She was fine, thank God. But the bill that followed wasn't. Dad put it on the kitchen table like a dead bird. Look at this, he said. Can you even believe it? It was $3,842.17. I was 27, new at my job, still figuring out how commission actually worked. Insurance barely covered anything, Dad said. Your mother's going to stress herself into another heart attack over this. Mom sat at the table, hands wrapped around a mug of tea that had gone cold. We'll figure it out, she murmured. We always do. Nate scrolled on his phone in the corner. This healthcare system is a scam, he said, which was his way of sounding involved. I stared at the bill, at the line that said guarantor. John Miller. Dad sighed. Dylan, you know we're tight this month. Work's been slow. The furnace, the roof, your brother between jobs again. Just until we get our feet under us. Just until the family language for forever. Ellie toddled in wearing one of Nate's old ball caps, tripping over the brim. She bumped into my leg and laughed, big and free, like the world was simple. I thought it was temporary. It wasn't. I wrote a check for $1,000. Told myself I was being a good son, that I'd stop once they recovered. The second time, it was Nate's truck. He was 24 and had talked Dad into co-signing for a used F-150 for work. The job lasted 6 months. The payments didn't. Dad called me on Sunday. They're going to repossess it, he said. You know what that does to my credit? To the house. Ellie was on the floor, lining up her plastic animals. She looked up when she heard the word house. Even at 3, she knew that word meant something big. Nate texted me separately. Bro, I swear I'll pay you back. Family is supposed to pull together. I put another $600 on my already maxed out credit card and transferred it to Dad. The third time was a smaller amount, which somehow made it worse. They had started calling my monthly transfers my contribution, $400 on the first of every month for the house and Mom. Dad said, you make more than we do. It all evens out. I was paying $1,150 in rent, $380 in daycare, $250 in student loans, plus my car payment and gas to 4 different hospitals every week. One night, I walked into my parents' house with Ellie on my shoulders and watched her shrink in real time. Dad and Nate were in the living room arguing over the game. Mom was in the kitchen stirring something on the stove. It smelled like overcooked onions and stress. Ellie tugged my hair. Can I watch cartoons? She whispered. Ask Grandpa, I said. She patted across the hardwood in her socks and stood by the arm of Dad's chair. Grandpa, she asked, can we watch Bluey? Dad didn't look at her. We're watching the game, he said. She nodded and started backing away. Don't sulk, he added, still staring at the screen. You get plenty. Let the adults have a turn. Ellie stopped. Her shoulders folded in. She tucked her hands into her sleeves and went to the hallway, sitting down beside the shoe pile and pulling her knees to her chest. I followed and sat next to her on the floor. You okay, bud? I asked. She nodded too fast. I'm fine, she said. It was my voice coming out her face. That was the night I realized she was learning the rules I grew up with. Don't make a scene. Don't be dramatic. Be grateful. Family helps family, just not in both directions. After the car, everything got louder and quieter at the same time. Out loud, the line was, it's just a car, Dylan. Underneath it was, you'll fix it. You always do. Insurance moved fast. Too fast. The police report listed Nate as the driver, Dad as the policyholder, and my car as a total loss. I asked Dad for a copy of the claim. It's handled, he said on the phone. Don't worry about it. I'm not worrying, I said. I'm asking. How much is the payout? Pause. Enough. He said they were paying market value. But there was the deductible. My premium's going up. Your brother, how much? I asked again. He sighed. Around 12,118 after the deductible. Then he said, Look, this isn't a pie chart. It's all family money. Some goes to the loan. Some goes to helping your brother get a cheap little runaround so he can keep working while he's between things. Some goes to the loan that's in my name. The payoff letter is in my name, I said. That money needs to go to my bank. Wow, Dad said. There it is. There what? I asked. The selfishness, he said. We put you on my policy to help you. Now when things swing the other way, you're clutching pennies. Your mother is sick. Your brother almost died in that crash, and you're worried about driving a nice car. That reasonable voice, the cruel one, the one that sounds calm and measured while it guts you. I need a car to get to work, I said, to take Ellie to school. The bus is an hour and a half each way. Plenty of people take the bus, he said. You're not special. So I took the bus. Every morning, I set my alarm 40 minutes earlier. Ellie and I walked 3 blocks in the dark to catch the 5:40. She curled up against my side, half asleep, backpack at her feet. I balanced my laptop bag, sample kit, and coffee like a circus act. Adventure bus, I'd tell her. She'd nod, but she stopped asking when we'd get our car back. My coworkers asked why I was showing up sweaty and windblown. I laughed it off, trying to save on gas. Climate Dylan, I joked. My commission dipped because I couldn't make as many in-person demos without a car. Gas money became bus money. My contribution to my parents became shaky. I started keeping track of everything, transfers to dad and mom, payments to the hospital portal, childcare, rent. The exact cost of my KOD monthly pass, $90. One night, after Ellie was asleep, I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop open and built a spreadsheet. Column A, date. Column B, description. Column C, amount. I scrolled back through a year of bank statements, logging every mom/dad and Nate transfer. By 1 a.m., the total at the bottom said $23,470. My hand shook. That's when I stopped arguing and started documenting. I wrote everything in the little notes column at the top. 2 months after the wreck, I was on the bus home, my forehead against the cool window, when my phone lit up with Dad. I almost let it go to voicemail. I picked up. Hey, he didn't bother saying hello. Why haven't you paid your mother's latest bill? I blinked. What bill? The cardiologist, he said. They called here. We gave them your number. They said they've left messages. I pulled the phone away from my ear. No voice emails. No missed calls from numbers I didn't recognize. How much? I asked. Don't start cross-examining me, Dad snapped. It's around $2,000. You know, she can't have this hanging over her. She needs to focus on healing. What's the exact amount? I repeated. He huffed. $287. Insurance cover the rest. You said you'd step up. The bus jolted. Ellie's head bumped my arm. She was leaning on me, earbuds in, watching a show I'd downloaded on my phone. She looked up when Dad's voice rose. I can't afford it, I said. There was a second of shocked silence. Then Dad laughed. Very funny. I'm serious. The bus pass is $90 a month. That adds up, he said. Cancel it and buy a car. You got the payout, didn't you? No, I said, you got the payout. Dylan, don't play games with me. You make 6 figures. Stop pretending you're broke. Proof, I said. What? You keep saying I make 6 figures. Show me proof. Show me where you got that number, because my pay stubs don't match. Oh, come on, he said. You're in medical sales. You're always bragging about bonuses. Your uncle told us. My W-2 last year was $78,432, I said. That's before tax, before insurance, before child support, before the money I send you every month. I've sent you over $23,000 in the last year. Dad, you're making this ugly. He snapped. We're talking about your mother's health. I'm talking about math. Ellie slipped her hand into mine and squeezed. Dad's voice rose. You ungrateful. We raised you. We kept you alive. We put you through school. We let you stay on our insurance. And now, when we need you to do your part, you're nickel-and-diming us over a bus pass. My heart was pounding, but my voice stayed strangely flat. I'll send you something, I said. Give me 10 minutes. What, a pity payment, he scoffed. No, I said. Proof. I hung up. At home, I sat at the table again. Ellie colored unicorns beside me, humming softly. I opened my payroll portal, my bank app, and my spreadsheet. Screenshot 1. My year-to-date earnings. Big bold number. $78,432. Screenshot 2. My budget app with a category called Parents. Total spent in the last 12 months. $23,470. Screenshot 3. The insurance claim summary. I'd finally forced the adjuster to mail to my address. It showed a total loss payout of $11,800 paid to the policyholder, John Miller. I stitched them into one image. 3 boxes. 3 facts. Then I texted it to my dad. No option. 10 seconds passed. Then my phone started ringing again. I didn't answer. The next morning, I had 3 new emails. One from Dad. Subject, call me. One from Mom. This is killing me, Dylan. One from the hospital billing office. Guarantor information. I opened that one. Dear Mr. Miller, it read, we are writing to confirm the guarantor for Jane Miller's account ending in 4721. Our records show a recent request to list you as the responsible party. Please contact our office to verify. Below was a note requested by John Miller. Relationship. Spouse. Reason. Our son makes more. He'll pay. I stared at the screen until my eyes blurred. Ellie padded into the kitchen in her pajamas, rubbing her eyes. Daddy, can I have cereal? Yeah, Bug, I said. My voice sounded far away. Grab your bowl. While she poured Cheerios with serious focus, I picked up my phone and called the billing office. This is Dylan Miller, I said when a woman answered. I'm calling about Jane Miller's account. I am not the guarantor, and I did not give permission for anyone to list me as one. The woman on the other end sounded tired but polite. Okay, Mr. Miller, let me pull that up. I gave her my mom's date of birth, the last 4 digits of her social security number, and the account number from the email. I see the note here, she said. It looks like your father called in, and he doesn't have your financial information. I cut in. He does not speak for me. I will not be listed as responsible without my consent. Understood, she said. We can remove you as guarantor and list your father instead. There may be some forms involved. Please do, I said. And can you send that to me in writing? She hesitated, then said, yes, sir. We'll email a confirmation. Ellie crunched her cereal and watched me. You look mad, she said. I'm fixing a mistake, I said. Dad called 3 times that day. I'll let every call go to voicemail. That evening, my phone buzzed with a text from him. You're messing with things you don't understand. Then another. You embarrassed us with that call. They said you removed yourself. What kind of son does that? I sat on the couch while Ellie curled up beside me watching a cartoon. Instead of replying, I opened my laptop. I typed legal responsibility for parent medical bills, Ohio, into Google. I read about filial responsibility laws and bookmarked a page saying they didn't apply here. Then I searched insurance misappropriation payout, Ohio, and who owns insurance payout if policyholder is different from the title holder. I made a list. Insurance documents, bank statements, hospital guarantor email, my spreadsheet. On my lunch break, I printed everything at FedEx and slid it into a cheap black folder. A week later, Mom had a follow-up appointment with her cardiologist. She asked me to come with her. It would mean a lot, she said quietly over the phone. I know things are tense, but I like you there. I almost said no. Instead, I agreed because despite everything, she's my mom. The waiting room was the usual mix of beige chairs and old magazines. Mom sat beside me, cardigan pulled tight around her shoulders. Your father is angry, she said, eyes on the floor. I know, I replied. He feels disrespected. I know, she hesitated. You know we don't have money like you, Dylan. He's scared. Ellie was at school. I had taken a morning off. My black folder sat at my feet. Scared people don't get to lie about other people's money, I thought. Before she could answer, Dad came in. He moved fast, like he was afraid of being late to his own performance. There he is, he said too loudly. Mr. Big Shot. Mr. Can't take a joke. John, Mom murmured. Not here. I stood up. We're not doing this. Not in a cardiology waiting room. He ignored me. You called the hospital behind my back, he hissed. You made me look like some kind of deadbeat in front of those people. You did that yourself, I said. A nurse poked her head out. Jane Miller. Here, Mom said quickly. That's me. Doctor's running a few minutes late. Billing asked if you could stop by after your appointment. Mr. and Mrs. Miller, There are some forms to sign. Dad shot me a look. What did you do? He demanded. Ask them to put the bill in the right name, I said. He leaned in, voice low and venomous. You think a little bus pass makes you a martyr? You think you could just cut us off? You owe us. We raised you. I opened the black folder. Actually, I said, let's talk about who owes who. He rolled his eyes. Oh God, here we go. I pulled out the first page. This is my bank statement list from the last year. $23,470 transferred to you and Nate for help. Mom's hand flew to her mouth. I took out the second page. This is the insurance claim. It shows my car in my name being paid out $11,800 to you. Dad's jaw clenched. And this, I said, holding up the third, is the email from the hospital where you tried to list me as guarantor without asking me. He reached for the papers. I stepped back. Don't you wave that around here, he snapped. You're embarrassing your mother. A door opened across the waiting room. A woman in business casual stepped out holding a clipboard. Mr. and Mrs. Miller? She asked. I'm Patty from billing. Do you have a minute now? We could go over that guarantor update. Dad sputtered. Update? She smiled politely. Yes, we now have you listed as the responsible party. Previously, we had your son. He called to clarify, just for one blessed second. He was speechless. I looked him in the eye. That's the official sentence, I said quietly. You're responsible for your own bills. His face went red. You ungrateful little, Mom hissed. My heart raced. He backed off a step, breathing hard. The billing woman glanced between us, clearly wishing she had another job. I'll just wait over here, she said. I took a breath. This is what's happening, I said, voice low and steady so only he and Mom could hear. I'm no longer paying your bills. I'm no longer on your insurance. I'm no longer your guarantor for anything. If you try to use my information, I will treat it as unauthorized use. I've already filed a complaint with the insurance company about the payout being misdirected. That part wasn't fully true yet. The complaint form was half filled on my kitchen table. What would be true by tonight? Dad's eyes widened. You went to the insurance company? Yes, I said, with copies of the claim and my title in hand. I have a case number. I slipped a small white card out of the folder and set on the chair between us. Handwritten claim 3,847 to 9JM. Misallocated payout. Insured versus owner discrepancy. Mom looked like she might faint. Dylan, please, she whispered. We're family. We can talk about this. We've been talking about it for years. Talking hasn't changed anything, I said. Dad's voice dropped to a growl. You're going to regret this. For the first time in a long time, I believed the opposite. I picked up my folder. Then I did the irreversible things. That afternoon, I changed my direct deposit so nothing ever touched the joint account my dad had talked me into years ago. I canceled the $400 monthly transfer. I filed the insurance complaint and got a confirmation email with the case number. I called my bank and set alerts for any new accounts open in my name. I drafted a short email to my parents and Nate. 3 sentences. Effective immediately, I will not pay any bills that are not legally mine. Do not list me as guarantor, contact, or payer for anything without my written consent. Any attempt to use my information without permission will be treated as unauthorized use. I hit send. Then I turned off my phone and took Ellie to the park. Peace doesn't drop out of the sky. It shows up in small, practical ways. My phone stopped buzzing with urgent bills. I stopped checking my account 3 times a day to see if a transfer cleared. Some mornings I was still on the 6 a.m. bus, Ellie leaning against me, watching the city wake up. The difference was I didn't hate myself for being there. A month after the email, I bought a car. Not fancy, a 7-year-old Corolla. Loan in my name, insurance in my name, title in my name. When I turned the key, Ellie squealed. Does this one get sick? She asked. It might, I said. Things break, but nobody else gets to wreck it. 2 weeks later, insurance called. The car was in my name, payout, and Dad's. They opened a recovery case and would be contacting him. I wrote the date and case number on a sticky note and slid it into the black folder. That night, he called. You happy now? They're saying I have to pay money back. Your mother is sick over this. I'm not happy, I said. I'm done. He ranted. Then you make 6 figures. This is nothing to you. Proof, I asked. I sent one screenshot. My W-2, my parents' total, the claim with his name as payee, and the email. Recovery case opened. Misdirected payout. Policyholder responsible. John Miller. This is my proof of what I earn, what I've paid, and what you took. So that's it. You're cutting us off. I looked at Ellie at the table, drawing a bus with little smiles on our faces. I'm protecting my kid, I said, and myself. He warned I'd regret it. Maybe, I said, but I regret the last 10 years a lot more. I'm not available for that. And I hung up. I'm on Dylan's side here because Nate totaled Dylan's fully paid car after that 4:37 p.m. call. Dad kept the $11,800 payout on his policy. They even tried to list Dylan as the hospital guarantor for the $2,187 cardiology bill without consent. What this story teaches us is that family helps family can turn into silent entitlement when money, paperwork, and accountability are unclear. The difference was I didn't hate myself for being there. A month after the email, I bought a car. Not fancy, a 7-year-old Corolla. Loan in my name, insurance in my name, title in my name. When I turned the key, Ellie squealed. Does this one get sick? She asked. It might, I said. Things break, but nobody else gets to wreck it. 2 weeks later, insurance called. The car was in my name, payout, and Dad's. They opened a recovery case and would be contacting him. I wrote the date and case number on a sticky note and slid it into the black folder. That night, he called. You happy now? They're saying I have to pay money back. Your mother is sick over this. I'm not happy, I said. I'm done. He ranted. Then you make 6 figures. This is nothing to you. Proof, I asked. I sent one screenshot. My W-2, my parents' total, the claim with his name as payee, and the email. Recovery case opened. Misdirected payout. Policyholder responsible. John Miller. This is my proof of what I earn, what I've paid, and what you took. So that's it. You're cutting us off. I looked at Ellie at the table, drawing a bus with little smiles on our faces. I'm protecting my kid, I said, and myself. He warned I'd regret it. Maybe, I said, but I regret the last 10 years a lot more. I'm not available for that. And I hung up. I'm on Dylan's side here because Nate totaled Dylan's fully paid car after that 4:37 p.m. call. Dad kept the $11,800 payout on his policy. They even tried to list Dylan as the hospital guarantor for the $2,187 cardiology bill without consent. What this story teaches us is that family helps family can turn into silent entitlement when money, paperwork, and accountability are unclear. First, document everything early. Screenshots, claim summaries, and a simple spreadsheet like Dylan's $23,470 total make reality undeniable. Second, secure your accounts in writing. Move direct deposit, set bank alerts, and send a clear email stating boundaries and consequences regarding guarantor/insurance matters.